The Midnight Road.
In the sleepy town of Marrow Hill, legends whispered about the old forest road that twisted like a serpent through the dense woods. It was said that at midnight, the road came alive with the spirits of those lost to its winding embrace. No one dared to travel the road after dark, except for Ethan, a young and skeptical journalist who dismissed the tales as mere superstition. Ethan decided to debunk the myth by driving the infamous road at midnight. His old, trusty sedan hummed to life as the clock struck 12, and he ventured into the darkness, the road illuminated only by his headlights. The dense forest seemed to close in on him, the trees like silent sentinels watching his every move. As he drove deeper, a dense fog began to roll in, swallowing the road ahead. Ethan's confidence faltered, a chill running down his spine. Then, out of the mist, a figure appeared, a woman in a tattered white dress, her eyes hollow and staring. Ethan slammed on the brakes, heart pounding, but when he looked again, she was gone. Shaken but determined, Ethan continued. Strange whispers filled the car, and shadows danced in the corner of his eyes. He told himself it was just his imagination. But then, the car's electronics flickered and died, plunging him into darkness. The engine sputtered and came to a halt, leaving Ethan stranded. In the suffocating darkness, Ethan heard soft footsteps approaching. Panicked, he fumbled for his phone, but it was dead. The footsteps grew closer, and a cold hand touched his shoulder. He turned to see the same hollow-eyed woman, her mouth gaping in a silent scream. Ethan bolted from the car, running blindly through the fog. He stumbled upon an old, decrepit cabin, its door creaking open invitingly. With no other choice, he entered, finding himself in a room filled with old, sepia-toned photographs of people with their eyes scratched out. Suddenly, the door slammed shut, and the room was filled with the whispers of the lost souls, their tormented faces appearing in the photographs. Ethan realized in horror that these were the spirits of those who had disappeared on the road. The cabin seemed to warp and twist, the walls closing in. Ethan felt hands grabbing at him, pulling him into the darkness. He screamed, his voice lost in the chorus of whispers. Just as he felt himself being consumed by the darkness, a blinding light pierced the cabin. Ethan awoke in his car, the sun rising on the horizon. He was back at the start of the road, his car idling quietly. Ethan drove back to town, a changed man. No longer a skeptic, he knew the horrors of the midnight road were real. He warned others, but like him, they didn't believe until it was too late. The road remains, a trap for the curious and the brave, its secrets hidden in the darkness. And every midnight, it waits for a new traveler to claim.
The Haunting of Winter's Eve.
In the quaint, snow-covered village of Belmere, nestled in the heart of the mountains, Christmas was a time of joy, light, and warmth. However, this year, as the first snowflakes of December graced the cobblestone streets, a chilling tale began to unfold, one that would forever change the meaning of Christmas for its inhabitants. The story begins with the Dawson family, who had recently moved into the old Wintercrest Manor, a sprawling estate that had stood empty for years. The locals whispered about the manor, how it was cursed and haunted by the spirits of its former inhabitants. But the Dawsons, a modern family who didn't believe in superstitions, dismissed these tales as mere folklore. As Christmas approached, strange occurrences began to happen in the manor. Objects moved on their own, cold drafts filled the rooms, and eerie whispers echoed through the halls at night. The youngest Dawson, Lily, claimed she saw figures in the shadows, but her parents assured her it was just her imagination. On Christmas Eve, as the village celebrated, the Dawsons decided to host a grand feast in their new home, inviting the townsfolk in an effort to dispel the rumors about the manor. The guests arrived, marveling at the beautifully decorated halls and the magnificent Christmas tree that stood in the main parlor. As the night progressed, the atmosphere in the manor shifted. The lights flickered, the temperature dropped, and a sense of dread filled the air. Then, at the stroke of midnight, a blood-curdling scream shattered the festive mood. The guests rushed to the source of the noise, only to find the body of Mr. Dawson, lifeless and with a look of terror frozen on his face. Panic ensued as the guests tried to flee, but the doors of the manor were mysteriously locked. Trapped inside, they were forced to confront the horrors that lurked within the walls. The spirits of Wintercrest Manor, angered by the intrusion and the disruption of their eternal rest, had awakened. One by one, the guests experienced their own terrifying encounters. Some saw visions of the manor's tragic past, others were tormented by ghostly apparitions, and a few disappeared entirely, never to be seen again. The Dawsons, along with a brave group of villagers, decided to confront the spirits and uncover the truth behind the curse. Their investigation led them to a hidden room in the manor, where they discovered the diary of Eleanor Wintercrest, the original mistress of the house. The diary revealed a dark secret. Eleanor had been accused of witchcraft and executed on Christmas Eve centuries ago. Her final entry spoke of a curse she had placed on the manor and its future inhabitants, a curse that would only be lifted when her name was cleared and her spirit set free. Realizing what they had to do, the Dawsons and their allies embarked on a perilous journey to prove Eleanor's innocence. They scoured ancient records, deciphered cryptic clues, and braved the supernatural forces that tried to stop them. Finally, after a harrowing encounter with the vengeful spirit of Eleanor herself, they found the evidence that proved her innocence. With the truth revealed, Eleanor's spirit was finally able to find peace. The curse was lifted, and the spirits of Wintercrest Manor vanished, leaving behind a calm that had not been felt in centuries. The manor's doors unlocked, and the survivors emerged into the snowy morning of Christmas Day, forever changed by their ordeal. The village of Belmere gradually returned to normal, but the story of the haunting of Winter's Eve became a legend, a chilling reminder of the power of belief and the importance of seeking the truth. The Dawson family remained in the manor, now a peaceful home, but every Christmas Eve, they lit a candle in memory of Eleanor Wintercrest, honoring the spirit that had once terrorized but ultimately saved them all. And so, in the village of Belmere, Christmas was no longer just a time of joy and light, but also a time of respect for the mysteries that lay beyond the veil, a time to remember that sometimes the ghosts of the past can still touch the lives of the living.
Whispers in the Shadowed House.
In a quaint, seemingly peaceful town where the sun always seemed to cast a warm golden hue and the people greeted each other with smiles and waves, there was a house that stood out from the rest. It was not because of its size or color, but because of the aura that seemed to linger around it, an aura of mystery and unspoken terror. This is where our story begins, with a new family moving into the neighborhood, unaware of the chilling events that were about to unfold. The Johnsons, a family of 4, had just relocated from a bustling city to this small town in search of a quieter life. They were a picture of hope and excitement as they moved into the house right next to the mysterious one. The neighbors seemed friendly enough, but they always swiftly changed the subject whenever the house next door was mentioned. As the days passed, the Johnsons began to notice odd occurrences. It started with faint, inexplicable noises during the night, scratching sounds, muffled footsteps, and the occasional creak of a door. They brushed it off as the house settling in, but the children, Sarah and Tommy, were not convinced. They felt a presence, an unseen watcher, observing them from the shadows. One evening, as dusk crept in, Sarah and Tommy dared each other to peek through the fence, separating their yard from the mysterious neighbors. What they saw chilled them to the bone, a figure, shrouded in darkness, standing perfectly still, facing their direction. It was as if it had been waiting for them. Terrified, they ran back inside, vowing to never look again. Days turned into weeks, and the weird occurrences escalated. The family started to notice objects moving on their own, doors opening and closing, and an unsettling chill that would sweep through the house. The final straw came one stormy night when when Mr. and Mrs. Johnson woke up to an ear-piercing scream coming from Sarah's room. Rushing in, they found her bed empty, the window wide open, and the curtains billowing in the fierce wind. Frantic, they searched the house and the surrounding area, but Sarah was nowhere to be found. The police were called and an extensive search began, but it was as if she had vanished into thin air. The only clue was a series of footprints leading from Sarah's window to the house next door, the house that everyone avoided. Against the advice of the townsfolk, Mr. Johnson decided to confront the neighbor. He marched to the front door, his heart pounding in his chest. With each step, a sense of dread grew stronger, but he was determined to find his daughter. The door creaked open before he could knock, revealing the interior of the house, dark, cold, and unwelcoming. Stepping inside, Mr. Johnson called out, but there was no response. The silence was oppressive, broken only by his own footsteps. As he ventured deeper, he noticed the walls adorned with strange symbols and old photographs of people with their eyes scratched out. A feeling of being watched crawled over him, making his skin prickle. In the depths of the house, he found a door, slightly ajar, leading to the basement. The air was heavy with the scent of damp earth and something else, something metallic and unnerving. Steeling himself, he pushed the door open and descended the stairs. The basement was dimly lit, and at the far end, he saw a figure huddled in the corner. As he approached, the figure turned, and he saw Sarah, pale and shaking, but alive. Relief washed over him, but it was short-lived. From the shadows emerged the neighbor, a gaunt figure with hollow eyes and a twisted smile. The neighbor spoke in a raspy voice, revealing a tale of loss and vengeance. The house was cursed, he explained, bound to a spirit seeking retribution for a long-forgotten crime committed by the ancestors of the townspeople. The spirit demanded a sacrifice every few years, and in return it granted the town its prosperity and peace. Mr. Johnson, horror-struck, realized the terrible truth. The entire town was complicit in this dark pact. In a desperate act of courage, he lunged at the neighbor, creating enough of a distraction for Sarah to escape. As she ran, the house seemed to come alive, with whispers echoing off the walls, urging her to stay. Sarah emerged into the stormy night, her father right behind her, and they fled back to their home, where Mrs. Johnson and Tommy were waiting, fraught with worry. The family quickly packed their belongings, not daring to stay another minute. As they drove away, leaving the town behind, they saw the lights in the houses flicker and go out one by one. In the rearview mirror, the entire town was plunged into darkness, as if swallowed by the night itself. The Johnsons never looked back, but the memory of that night haunted them forever, a chilling reminder of the horror that lurked in the house next to theirs.